Hey, champion, oh my gosh! I've never seen anyone ever do that!
You know, when guys have confidence in each other, it allows them, I think, the confidence individually to step up.
Drives to the rack and packed it! Dante Exum! X!
Maybe it's a wake-up call, but I can promise you this. You know, the Jazz aren't playing scared of anybody.
We'll be ready. We'll be ready. Whether it's a wake-up call or not, we'll be ready.
2 hours in the books, 2 more to go. We're thrilled to have you with us. Adnan Virk in for Trey. It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. As always, we are presented by Progressive Insurance and all phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Stugotz is going to join us momentarily. We're just having a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Patrick Beverley's mom was on The Price is Right, did a phenomenal job. $41,000 worth of value in 2 cars and a trip to Madagascar.
She was great. Her name Lisa. She knew the game. She was very good on the show. She knew her stuff.
We're soliciting questions right now, Mike. Wondering, you can always tweet us at Golic and Wingo. Let us know what game should you most want to be on.
And you know, individually, I love the pyramid, like $100,000 pyramid, whichever. I love that show and how nerve-wracking it is to be in those seats. But as a group, I would have to say I would love the Golic family to be in Family Feud. I would love that. There's 5 of us. Now, there's 6 with Jake's wife, Jenny. So if for whatever reason one couldn't make it, Jenny could fill in. And why Jenny fits in so well? Out of college, Jenny worked for Deloitte in Chicago.
Right.
Okay. First thing she did out of school. And she came in, I believe, late to a seminar and sat down and they were talking about the SEC. Yeah. For, you know, whatever reasons they were, and to which she leaned to the guy next to her and she said, why are we talking about a football conference? The SEC, as opposed to the Security Exchange Commission.
I was going to say, it has different meanings depending on time.
As soon as, you know, she said that, we said, she belongs in our family.
Exactly.
Right off the bat. So we gladly accept her.
But what if Jenny was involved and you had to make a cut? Like, of the 6...
Well, I mean, listen, last in, first out, right? I mean, I think she would even understand that, correct? I mean, right? I mean, listen, wouldn't that be the way to go? I mean,
But do you think she would give you a better chance of winning? In which case, then you might go to another family member.
Right now, Mike, Jake, and Sydney are going, no, she wouldn't. But Jenny is a smart girl, so yeah. I would fear more. But that's kind of how we'd have to do it. No, I mean, it would have probably have to go down the road.
You, your wife, your kids.
I would worry more. And we would not be that family that claps no matter what.
Answer is bacon. All right, bacon. Let's go bacon. Bacon.
We would be like, that's the dumbest answer known to mankind. And we would rip one another. My other fear is we would give answers, especially my kids, that would have to be beeped out.
So it would be some sort of salacious comment.
Yeah. They would take it down a road that probably it shouldn't be going.
So if it was on cable, maybe there's an HBO version of it.
But I'd love for us to be in Family Feud. I think we'd have a ball with that.
I'm with you. I think it would definitely be a blast. Because no matter what, fingers will be pointed if you don't win.
Yeah, maybe straight up a certain finger. I don't know.
Stugotz is coming up in minutes. Let's do what's trending. The Jazz snapped their 11-game skid in the conference semifinals by upsetting the Rockets 116-108, evening the series at 1 game apiece. Donovan Mitchell joined John Stockton, the only Jazz rookies, with a 10-assist playoff game and became the 4th rookie in NBA history, Mike, to score 200 points in his first 8 playoff games. Kareem, Wilt, and Elgin Baylor.
Great list to be on. He didn't have a great scoring night, dished out 11 assists, though, so was driving the lane, getting others involved when he wasn't, throwing up a little shot off the front of the rim, getting his own rebound and slamming it. But it was Joe Ingles who was hot early and hot late. At the 3-pointers, hit 7 and 9, scored a career-high 27 points. But you will say this was a Houston team down 19 that took the lead. After being down 19, took the lead off that in the third quarter. Couldn't close. They hit the most 3-pointers. They take the most 3-pointers. They shot poorly last night, just 27%, 10 of 37. So they weren't hitting their shots. So while I do think they're better defensively than they were last year, they're still a 3-point shooting team. They make no bones about it.
Yep.
This is only the 3rd time someone made more than five or more threes than they did. Utah made 15 3-pointers. So this was an off 3-point night. Can be off enough to lose a 7-game series? leading up to Golden State? I don't think so. I still think they're going to win this series. I don't think they will against Golden State, but we'll wait for that. Utah, nice win for them. Got one on the road, which is exactly what you want to do in the 2 on the road. You want to get that split and move on.
Yeah, Utah feels good because they had to do what they had to do, but I'm with you. Nobody feels like now it's the Jazz's series to lose. The Rockets are going to win. Cavaliers facing the Raptors. One comment. The Cavaliers face the Raptors at 6 Eastern on ESPN on the 1-0 series lead. I can't read faster. The knock against me, they think I read too fast. LeBron James's teams have a 21-0 series record with a 2-0 lead. The Raptors have never won a series when trailing 2-0. It all changes tonight. We the North.
Why?
Because the Raptors cannot possibly have an implosion like that again. You cannot have a more spectacular meltdown than they had.
You know, it's the third year in a row this is going on, right?
But that particular missing 11 straight shots, losing in overtime, that can't happen again. It won't happen again.
Are you telling this to me, or are you saying it in a hoping
to happen. The more
manner?
I say it, it's going to work.
Yeah. Listen.
Oh, Canada.
Parada again.
From your side of it, as I've been saying all morning, you know LeBron's going to go. Now, LeBron, after an overtime game, the next game, he's averaged 32 points a game in the postseason. So he's going to get his, but I honestly couldn't tell you. Pick out of a hat. Right. Who else can have a game? Is JR getting 20 again? Is Kyle Korver getting 19? We've seen 2 games in a row. Tristan Thompson started Game 7 against the Pacers off the bench. He'll come off the bench again. Get a double-double. He has been good. But I don't know who else is going to step up. But if they do and they go up 2-0 in this series, I already think it's over, but it could be over pretty quick if they're up 2-0.
We'll be talking about it a lot tomorrow, hopefully on my side rather than your side tomorrow on the show. And Warriors coach Steve Kerr and Steph Curry will start Game 3 versus the Pelicans. Returning from a knee injury, came off the bench at 28 points. When asked about it, he said, he'll start Game 3. You don't keep a guy like that on the bench for long.
I don't know. I think next year you bring him off the bench and have him win the 6th man. Get another award.
Steph Curry from former MVP to 6th man award.
Man. Rack up all the awards, right?
He's always a star in our eyes, and that is our man, Stugotz. He joins us now. Of course, part of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. Golic and Wingo is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join dollarshaveclub.com today. All right, Stu, you know I love the show. You know I love you, but you're awfully tough on my Raptors. I just think it's very simple to say that the Raptors are done. There's no way, Stu. You know that we're looking for nuance. We're looking for meaning. We're looking for the best bench in basketball and stars. And Toronto wins tonight, right? I know you don't think they're going to win the series, but Toronto wins tonight.
The series is over. I'm not tough on your Raptors. LeBron is tough on your Raptors, man. What are you talking about? Listen, the series is over. I know what you said. Hey, team goes down 0-2. They'd never come back and win a series. Adnan, the series is over. It was over before it started. It was over the second the Raptors were playing LeBron James. The series is over. Valanciunas had 19 bunnies with 8 seconds to go in game 1 in that final quarter, and he could connect on 1. The game is over. It's a terrible matchup. DeRozan and Larry, you keep trotting the same backcourt out there every single year. DeRozan's afraid to take a 3 late in the game. He's afraid to take a couple of 2s late in the game. Larry's just not good enough. LeBron can lock him up whenever he wants. Valanciunas is okay. And listen, here's the thing. LeBron came out. It's like pouring salt on the wound. Came out and said that was the worst game I played, not in the playoffs, all season, Adnan. So you don't need to worry about who's going to get the points for them tonight. Is it going to be J.R. Smith or Kyle Korver, Tristan Thompson? I heard you guys talking about that. No. The teammates bailed LeBron out in game 1, and now tonight, LeBron bails them out in game 2 and gives you 50, 60 points tonight.
Van Vliet was taking your last shot in regulation and in overtime.
I know.
It's an open 3. It's a good look.
Happen. And Stugotz, you are the king of glass cracked, not even half full. How do these Raptor fans wrap their heads around what's going on for another year?
Listen, I don't know. Adnan would be a better person to ask. I don't know how you deal with this. Listen, I'm dealing with my own problems over here, Mike. I got the Mets and I got the Jets and I got my own. I'm not going to tell Adnan and Raptor fans how to deal with their issues, but it's a tough one. Listen, LeBron James is obviously one of the 2 or 3 greatest players we've ever seen. Adnan, I don't know. How do you deal with this? Because if they lose this series, let's say they go out in 4 or 5 games, whatever it is, okay? You want to come back again with DeRozan and Kyle Lowry? Is that what you want? Because it just doesn't work, Adnan.
This is where you're great, Stu. You're the arbiter of fandom and what's right and what's wrong. And I think you'll agree with me on this. If the Raptors fold their tent, if they get swept, or God forbid, they lose the series in 5, then I think as a card-carrying fan of the team, you can relinquish them. I'm not a fan of dropping your team. I used to always believe in lifelong fandom. I think if you're a Raptors fan, if you've seen them suffer like this, you go, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm going somewhere else. I'll go be a Warriors fan. I'll be a Rockets fan. I'll do whatever the hell I want. Because you're right. This is that litmus test. This is the best team they've had. This is the best chance they've had. Home court, blah, blah, blah. If you cough this one up, you're right. People should mock you for good reason, and the fans can go away in droves.
Yeah, they're going to mock you, but where do you go? I mean, you're in Toronto. Where are you going to go? Like, where are you going, Adnan?
Minnesota's close enough to the border. There's a lot of Canadians in Minnesota. We could do that. We're talking with Stugotz right now. Listen, you mentioned you're a Jets fan. I'm well aware you're a fan. You must be overjoyed, man. I was so happy for you. Sam Darnold, listen, that's the safest pick. Baker Mayfield, maybe a bit of a risk for the Browns. I do think he's going to be great. And Kirk Herbstreit said to me, he thinks Baker Mayfield is Drew Brees 2.0, which is as high praise as you can get. But you as a Jets fan got to go, Sam Darnold, that's as good as it gets for us.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm a Jet fan, so I'm trained to think whichever quarterback they picked is going to be out of the league in the next 5 years. Like if Sam Darnold, Adnan, was drafted by the Giants, I tell you he's going to the Hall of Fame. But no, he's drafted by the Jets, so he's out of the league in 5 years. I don't know. You know, the Jets GM was doing an interview the other day, and he said we moved up 3 spots to number 3 in the draft to get Sam Darnold, and then later on in the interview said that they never thought Sam Darnold would be there, which means he really did trade up to get Sam Darnold if he didn't think Sam Darnold was going to be there. I happen to think the guy that they actually moved up for and wanted is Baker Mayfield. But listen, I've had enough people who pore over the film and study this stuff tell me that Sam Darnold is the best quarterback in this draft. So maybe a little bit of luck here for the Jets with the Browns going Baker Mayfield, and maybe the Jets actually did get the best quarterback in the draft. Only time will tell on that. So I guess I'm as excited as I could be being a Jet fan, a tortured Jet fan.
Were you excited when you have Josh McCown, who's been around forever, would be really good in the quarterback room, and right now is at least listed as the starter and get the chance. You bring in Teddy Bridgewater, who really had a promising career going in one direction, coming off the knee injury. How would you like to see the quarterback situation play out for your team this year? Who's on the field the most?
I mean, listen, I kind of want to see Darnold right away, but I know that's not the reality. So I'm kind of okay with the situation, Mike. It's a great point. The Jets have a very good situation here where they have a veteran quarterback for Darnold to learn under for maybe a year or two. And then you have some upside. So you got the veteran guy, you got the rookie guy that everyone loves, and then you got the unknown in Teddy Bridgewater. And there's a ton of upside there. You know, Teddy Bridgewater, before the injury, a lot of people were saying was going to be a really, really good quarterback. So I kind of like the way the Jets are going to go the veteran route here, at least for the first half of this season. We'll see how that goes. And then maybe Sam Darnold gets a shot at some point midway through the season, towards the end of the season. It really depends on record, right, how the Jets are doing here. But I like the situation. You got the big-time rookie here with the number 3 pick out of USC. You got a veteran quarterback, and you get Teddy Bridgewater kind of in the middle with all this upside. If it doesn't work out, not a big deal. You didn't spend too much money.
10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. You can always catch him there, plus a local hour in Miami. All right, Stu, let's get to the major news here, okay? Jason Witten is in as the Monday Night Football analyst, and I feel for you as a friend, as a terrific talent. I know you were pushing for this, much like how Kornheiser was, comic relief, provocateur. Right. You would have been that great guy. Do you still think you have a chance here? Third man in the booth?
Third man in the booth, yeah.
I think I have zero chance. I don't have a chance. But listen, I'm happy. Like, if Jason Witten, I'm happy for Witten. This is all I've said. Dan and I have said this forever. Okay? We get having a Jason Witten in the booth. All we've ever said is, I don't think there's enough people in the booth. There's not anyone really in the booth that represents the way fans watch a football game. How they react at home, the emotional roller coaster of watching their favorite team play in a game. And I've always said, what's the harm? Like, you don't even need announcers at this point. People are just tuning in for the game. They're not tuning in for the announcers. And so if you put a couple of guys in there, I don't know, it could be Adnan. It could be Mike Golic Jr. It could be me. It could be Le Batard, Bomani Jones, Pablo Torre. You put those guys in there, guys who are going to say some stuff. Adnan, it'd be so great if I'm watching Monday Night Football and all of a sudden you just bust out on some sort of movie rant. Like, I would love to see that. And I think the fans would too, because listen, I don't know if we're really paying attention to the announcers. I know I'd be paying attention to Adnan if he was talking about movies on Monday Night Football. That would be fun.
You're a good man, Stu.
I just feel like maybe there's a spot for me there, but I think Jason Witten's going to have issues with that. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm just mad that Witten's making more money than me. That's really what
if you were the third, if you were the third man in the booth, what would you bring to the broadcast? What would Stugotz be known for when the game was over? We'd say, "Wow, Stugotz really brought it here."
I'd be an emotional roller coaster, Mike. That's it. That's the way fans like one possession. My quarterback would be the best quarterback in the NFL, and the next possession he would be the worst quarterback in the NFL. It would go pass to pass, play to play, drive to drive. I'd rip my coach. I'd rip the other coach. I'd rip teams' fans. I'd watch the game the way fans watch the game at home. I think we need that. I absolutely think we need it. I just don't think the person to do it is going to be me.
A terrific running bit you guys have had on the show, which has appalled our friends John Shammy and Tim Kirchin, is looking at baseball legends as compilers. Can you please, for the audience, explain your stance and the show's stance on legends like Hank Aaron, Cal Ripken, and such?
I wish I had Guillermo in here because this is a Guillermo joint right here.
Hank Aaron never hit 50 home runs in a season.
Yeah, Adnan, can you help me out? I mean, there are certain guys who compiled stats. I mean, right. Nolan Ryan. He was a great pitcher, right? But 300 wins, it took him like 27,000 years to get to 300 wins. By the way, he also had 294 losses or something like that, which means he was really like 11-10 every year he pitched in the majors. Right. I mean, the point of a pitcher is to win games. I know the strikeout numbers are good. I get it. But listen, when you hang around for 25 years, of course you're going to win you're going to win 300, right? Like that's pretty obvious, right?
Listen, Stanzik has your back. Craig Biggio, total compiler. That adds to your list of guys that just played forever. Yeah.
Yes, played forever, right? You play that long, you can get 3,000 hits, right? You play that long. So, yeah, there are a bunch of guys who compile. I have a question for you, though, Adnan. I heard you talking about the little patch you put behind your ear earlier this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Cruise ships. So, the first time I went on a cruise, I got really nauseous. But I maintain that the patch doesn't really work. It's kind of like airborne. I'm not certain airborne really works. I think it's just the psychological effect of putting the patch on or taking airborne that makes you actually feel better. Do you agree with that or no?
I got to tell you this, Stu. I don't know if that's accurate, but it is a terrifying feeling being on that cruise ship. Right? I got 3 kids. Yes. My wife, like, what's wrong with you? Why do you feel like you want to empty out of your own skin? I'm like, I'm going to get off here. Wait, I can't. I'm on a boat for the next week. Somebody help! I'm surrounded by Disney characters.
I don't disagree with that, Stugotz. That would be known as the placebo effect, is what you're talking about.
Oh,
there.
Really, Mike?
Yeah.
Really? Well, you knew that right off the top of your head, huh?
It was written on the screen.
You don't think you'd be good on Jeopardy, Mike Golic?
Oh, all right. Let's get to that. So, again, Patrick Beverley's mother, Lisa, won 2 cars and a trip to Madagascar, over $41,000 worth of prizes on The Price is Right. She was fantastic. So, Stugotz, what game show would you want to be on? Do you think you could do well on?
Mike, I'm kind of with you. It's got to be one of those kind of lucky game shows. First off, I'm insulted that you wouldn't bring me on the Family Feud. Very insulted about that. Listen, Jeopardy's not going to work out for me. Sports Jeopardy might work out for me. Stump the Schwab is a show I think I'd be good at. That's an old-time, old-school ESPN game show right there. I think I got to go with Press Your Luck. No whammies. Remember that show?
Oh, yes.
No whammy.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I don't feel like I need to know a lot of information. I don't know a lot of information. I don't have to answer any questions. I just hit a button. If I get lucky, I win some money. I'm good with that. I think that's the game show for me.
All right. Now the most important thing. You do this every year. It makes me uncomfortable, yet I can't stop listening. When you call these big-time restaurants a day or two before Mother's Day when they are obviously sold out and you try and get reservations for 6 or 8 at prime time, do you have your restaurant picked out this year that you're going to do that to?
We do not have it. We are going to do it. We'll do it next week. We do not have the restaurant picked out. I think last year I did what did I do? I did the toughest restaurant in New York City to get a reservation on Mother's Day, and we called the day of, and I got myself a table of 6 at 7:30 prime time, baby.
Unreal.
So we haven't figured out. Yeah, we haven't figured out which restaurant we're going to run with yet. But once I have that information, I will pass it along. We will do it next week. Listen, you never know. I might drop Adnan's name. I might drop Golic's name. We'll see what happens here. But I'm definitely going to get in, and we will be doing it next week. And, Mike, I'm glad that you said that. That's the perfect way, right? You're entertained by it, but you're also cringing at the same time.
I'm cringing. I feel like I need to shower after it. I don't feel like I should be listening to it, and yet I can't turn away. It's unreal.
It's admirable, of course. Yeah.
It is absolutely incredible, but you absolutely pull it off every time you just cold call these places and get in. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mike. It's my gift. And I do want to tell you that I do that off air as well. That's just not an on air bit. That's the way I get reservations last minute at restaurants. And Mike Golic Mike Golic, I will tell you this. I have dropped your name before off air privately to get myself a nice little reservation at a restaurant.
You use me.
Done that, Mike.
You use me any way you see fit, Stugotz. I give you my blessing.
I hope it works again.
I appreciate that.
Nobody can deny.
If I'm ever in Toronto, I'll drop your name, Adnan.
Please do. The Stugotz is strong in all of us. Always great stuff, Stu. Thanks, you, buddy.
Stu. See you, man.
All right, and Adnan, at least you get to lose early tonight. 6 o'clock starts, and you know by 8 o'clock that your season's over.
Listen, man, I'm back tomorrow. I'm going to call into your show. You guys are going to interrupt me and fade me in and out, but it's going to happen tomorrow. They're going to win. I promise you.
Whatever.
This is way inside, but is Andrew Brandt part of Team Canada? How does this work?
Oh, my God.
He loves Federer and the Raptors.
Wow.
That's
Thanks,
the best.
Stu. Appreciate it.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing. Keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Love it or shove it, brought to you by Granger, our friend Bubba. Listen, you're fired up. Cowboys dominating across the board. So those are the TV graphics we just heard by ear. I want to start with this. Before we get into Love It or Shove It, Mets right now. Listen, good start to the season. Jacob deGrom,
Great start.
Hyperextended elbow. Yoenis Cespedes losing diamonds on the diamond. How are we feeling right now?
I mean, I'm not too concerned about his diamonds, but I'm concerned about deGrom, yes.
I would think so, right?
I'll do two. What are you more concerned?
Is this an uh-oh moment that the Met fans are going to start to go through?
Oh, hold on, my jersey.
Yeah, your jersey number's coming off.
Yeah, this is a new Van Der Esch jersey.
Yeah.
Pre-ordered.
This is unbelievable.
No, yeah. DeGrom, give him a few days off. It's rare. Hyperextended for a pitcher is rare.
Yeah.
But
remember, he did it swinging a bat, not pitching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right, though. He's a good hitter.
All right.
Give him his all.
Feeling okay.
All right.
Listen, I'm very excited about the Cowboys.
By the way, Bubba, for those that are listening on the radio, he is wearing a Jason Witten jersey.
No, this is a Leighton Van Der Esch jersey.
With a Leighton Van Der Esch with the number 55 drawn poorly on pieces of paper.
Drawn poorly?
Taped over.
Even pressure your penmanship.
No, I sent this in. I said, hey, I just said, hook me up with a Leighton Van Der Esch jersey and Cowboys.com. Here we go.
Check it out. Check it out on our Instagram
First
story.
team All Mountain West.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't just give that out to everyone.
Yeah. Just people in the Mountain West.
Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen.
Heading to the Cowboys.
We can leave that off the Instagram story, that part of it.
It'll be flying off the shelves, I'm sure, later today.
All right.
What do we got here, Bubba?
Let's go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this question for real? You guys serious with this question?
This is a great question. Come on.
The Raptors will win at least 2 games against the Cavs this series.
I know where you're laughing, because obviously they're going to win 4 games against the Cavaliers this season. They're going to win this series.
All right.
And the entire country is mocking Toronto. When they win, you're all going to be bowing down to me. So just keep that, all right? Keep that in mind.
I quite honestly, I actually think they win 2 games.
Yes.
They're going to lose the series, but I think they're going to win 2 games. So by definition of this question, I will have to say love it, correct?
They're the better team. They've got more talent. Yes, game 1 was demoralizing, but they're going to overcome this, all right?
I shove everything you said there, by the way.
Game 2 tonight, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio. The Raptors lose tonight. Obviously, it's over. Go ahead, Bubba.
Steph Curry is the most important player in the NBA playoffs. Love it or shove it.
Oh, that's a complete shove it. Without Steph Curry, I'm sorry, they can still make it to the finals.
They can still win the finals.
They can still win. Without LeBron James, the Cavaliers have 0 shot. Yeah. LeBron James is the most important person in the playoffs. For a guy that's been to 7 straight playoffs, a guy finals.
Right,
the guy that leads his team there all the time. He is the most important person in the playoffs.
And I would say Durant is more important to the Warriors than Curry.
I would agree with that.
At this point, Durant, I think, is invaluable. Yep. So I think Steve Kerr is just trying to hype up his guys.
We both shove it.
I believe Brett would like to chime in. This is his question, so we just want some clarification.
Sure.
Brett.
I love it because I wrote the question, but also because you put Steph Curry on the Warriors, and the Warriors were unbeatable. I think when they had Durant and Clay and Draymond toward the end of the season, they weren't beating up on everybody.
Can I ask you a question? If you take Steph Curry off Golden State, do they have still a pretty good chance to win the title?
Pretty good
chance?
If
you take LeBron James off the Cavaliers, they have a chance to win the title?
No.
Turn your microphone off. Turn your microphone off. Turn his microphone off. We're done.
Warriors fan
done.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
We'll talk Sharks later.
Yeah. All right.
A rookie quarterback will start in week 1 of the NFL season. Love it or shove it.
Man, Adnan, you know it's going to happen.
I love it.
You?
Every year it happens.
Who is it going to be, though? Because they're all set up to not, right?
Either Baker or Sam is going to start. Baker with the Browns or Sam Darnold with the Jets. Josh Allen, the Bills, I don't think starts.
Rosen, there would have to be injuries.
I don't think Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, is starting, obviously with Joe Flacco. So it's either Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold.
You didn't ask me to pick which one, thank God. So I'm going to say I love it because it's going to happen. It is going to happen.
It happens every year.
Yeah, so I love it.
Alexander Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals and Chris Paul of the Houston Rockets will both make their respective conference finals for the first time in their careers.
Wow.
Love it or shove it.
Chris Paul will. I think Houston is going to make the Western Conference Finals. Ovechkin, you're up 2-1, but man, you're just waiting for that to fall apart, aren't you?
There's certain teams, Mike, that you'd never believe it until you finally see it. And the Capitals are one of those teams. They might win tonight and go up 3-1, and people say, no, I'm not going to believe it until they actually beat the Penguins. The Penguins have had their number.
They have.
There's no chance when it comes to Crosby versus Ovechkin, but if you feel like they get over that hurdle, they'll get the conference finals. Just because I'd love to see it, I'm going to love it,
you know what?
even though I'm skeptical. But I love it.
I for the exact same reasons Adnan loved it, I'm going to love it as well. I don't feel overly comfortable about it, but I'm going to love it anyway.
All right, Albert Pujols will get hit number 3,000 tonight at home. Love it or shove it.
He needs 2 hits, and they're playing the Orioles, who stink.
Yeah, the Orioles are off late in 21. Pujols hit a home run last night.
Right.
Here's a great stat from Brett. 1,000th hit for Pujols came in 2006. His team won the World Series. 2,000 hit came in 2011. His team won the World Series. Angels in contention. The Astros are the best team in the West, but the Angels are a really good ball team.
So what do you think happens?
They're not going to win the World Series, but
no,
Pujols is going to get 3,000.
No,
tonight.
the question.
Yes,
the question.
3,000 tonight. I love it.
You think he gets it tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, so after tonight, they have 2, 4, 5 games on the road. Love to get him.
6-game road trip.
I'm sorry, 6 games. Okay. So am I counting wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4. It says 5 to me. Okay. I'm looking at 5,
okay.
but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just can't count. I want him to get it at home, so know that this is more out of want to than anything else. I love it.
Sure.
Right.
We got to get to the bottom of that Angel schedule there, huh? Brett, get on that thing.
Real quick. Okay, they play. They play today's May 3rd, right?
That's correct.
They're home against Baltimore. Next game at Seattle, at Colorado, at Colorado. How many times have I counted?
No, you're vindicated.
That's 5 fingers, and then they're home to Minnesota.
I misspoke.
What are you doing?
Listen, give us
You're
one
supposed
more.
to lead this thing. You can't make mistakes like that.
I'm leading you down the wrong path.
Mets. The Price is Right is the game show you like most to win on. Love it or shove it?
No, shove it. Jeopardy is the one, because if you win at Jeopardy, Bubba, people go, wow. This guy Virk knows the captain. Kind of knows what he's doing around here.
The captain may catch on if you win on Jeopardy.
I can't say Jeopardy because I would have to pick something that I would actually have a chance of. I have 0 shot of winning Jeopardy.
But I'm telling you, Mike,
Adnan, I hate to say it, you have 0 shot of winning Jeopardy as well.
Movies, sports, ESPN, Canadian history.
You know what? If it's the sports edition, I would give you a shot.
All right, sports
great
Jeopardy.
Canadian sports.
yeah, great Canadian sports moments.
Yeah. But you would have a better chance than I would. Not me. I would. Again, I'm a pyramid guy, or I'd like our family to go on Family Feud. Bubba, how about you?
Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, I like Wheel of Fortune.
I would love to have won Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, yeah, because you can phone a friend.
Then you could be a millionaire.
Be on with Regis.
Regis is the
answer a lot of questions.
Lock in that final answer.
See, I'm not all in on games of knowledge. Okay, you got to be knowledgeable. Even though you get multiple choice in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire,
phone
you do
friend.
not in
phone
Jeopardy.
A friend, I love, yeah.
There's too much knowledge.
I can call him if I have a movie question.
If I have knowledge, I want it to be of grocery store items, which I have a better shot at. Than some painter, in the 1800s.
Do you like Family Feud when they clap after they give an answer?
I can do without that.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. That's one thing. Let me just tell you right now.
Who is Lumiere? Okay, Lumiere.
The Golic family will not do that. We will boo one another. We will boo, possibly physically assault one another if it's a really bad answer.
That's unbelievable.
Okay? I'm just telling you the truth.
All right. If it's a bad answer, there will be repercussions.
There could be pushing and shoving.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you and
Van Der Esch, baby. We're throwing up the V.
Yeah.
That's
so you're done with the X.
Unfortunately, I love Dez, but we're throwing up the V this year.
Throwing up the V
for this guy.
All right.
Okay.
55.
What happened?
Hey, go ahead.
That was Love It or Shove It, brought to you by Grainger, the products and services you need when you need them. Grainger's got your back to help keep your facility running. Grainger, for the ones who get it done, like me and Brett.
Brett didn't get anything done. Brett, that was a horrible question. Horrible.
No, yeah, it was fun.
Bad question about Steph Curry?
First team all Mountain West.
This is what it's come down to.
No one from Alabama won that.
Coming up next.
They're not in the Mountain West.
An NFL story that's gaining traction.
They don't sleep on Michael Gallup either.
For all the wrong reasons. One story in the NFL, which is garnering a lot of traction, Mike, and this is for all the wrong reasons, involves the Washington Redskins cheerleaders. And this is a story, if you were not following it, very troubling to say the least. I'll start by saying this. Cheerleaders in general, when you look at the NFL, generally underpaid, overworked, and there's always been this issue of supply versus demand. You know, people will say, well, the girls wanted to get into it. They know it's like, okay, fine. But generally, they should receive more compensation.
Right. Well, I mean, and they also know what they get paid. You go into it knowing that. If they can work out more money, then more power to them.
Sure.
A lot of it, this talk start with the cheerleader, starting with the cheerleader from Miami and the situation that she was in. Now with the Washington Redskins talking about a bunch of the cheerleaders going on a trip where they had to take topless photos for a calendar.
Right.
And there were invited guests from the Redskins that were there watching all of this. They were basically told to go out to a nightclub with these people.
Like escorts.
Yeah, they said they weren't, they didn't have to sleep with anybody, anything like that, but they had to go out and with these, different visitors that came with the Washington Redskins.
Right.
They talked about a cruise the year before that, you know, almost sounded like it turned into, with a lot of guys, it turned into a bit of a frat party type situation. And just overall how there was a lot of disrespect going on there. Again, about the cheerleaders, they know they don't get paid a lot at all.
Right.
I think when I was playing, I think they were paid like $20 a game. And listen, they all knew that going into it, so it was their choice whether they wanted to try and do it or not.
You're not doing it for the money. It's to try to get fame,
exactly
celebrity,
right.
etc.
However, or just because you like the team and you want it, whatever their reason is, they know what the pay is. Now, if the pay can get better, that's great. But that's ancillary to some of this,
no question,
that they're being asked to do.
Right.
That certainly, I would take out the word seems to be crossing the line.
Yeah, that's why I preface the story by pointing out, in general, people would say cheerleaders are aggrieved, and I don't necessarily know if that's the case. As you said, they know the situation, and that's what you enter into. This, though, is despicable. Like, this is offensive. The fact that they're ordered to pose topless while others are asked to wear nothing but body paint for a shoot for a club's male sponsors. Although the picture selected for the calendar would not show nudity, it's absurd. You say, well, why are we even doing this in the first place?
And again, it was at a place where topless is kind of accepted there, but they brought along, sponsors and stuff that were able to watch the shoot, to sit there and watch all of that. And then again, going to the nightclub that night. It's just, I fear what this could lead to, and who knows, it's everybody has an individual thought on it. It may just lead to teams saying, fine, we'll do away with cheerleaders.
Because it's up to the teams. It's not mandated by the league.
This is not a league thing. The league has already said this has nothing to do with us. This is the individual team. I think there are 6 teams.
Packers don't have cheerleaders. The Bears don't have cheerleaders.
I think there may be 5 or 6 teams that don't have cheerleaders, so it's up to the team. Right. And listen, any employee of any business deserves to get treated with respect.
Of course.
I mean, come on. I mean, I don't care if it's the NFL, if it's Google, if it's ESPN, if it's Fox, if it's anything. You deserve that.
Yes.
You get treated with respect. And if you're not, it should be brought to attention. And then whatever that company feels should be done needs to be done. And I don't know what Washington will do. They obviously put out a statement here. The Redskins cheerleader program is one of the NFL's premier teams in participation, professionalism, and community service. Each Redskin cheerleader is contractually protected to ensure a safe and constructive environment, and that goes on from there.
Right.
Didn't sound like all of that and some of the things that we were explaining, but that is my fear for those that want to be a cheerleader for an NFL team, that NFL teams may just say, you know what? It's not worth all this if they're, if we have them, we need to treat them in a respectful way, just like any employee in any company. But if this is going to become an issue, then we're just going to do away with cheerleaders for our team.
Yeah, some of the quotes by the cheerleaders are awfully telling. One said they weren't putting a gun to our heads, but it was mandatory for us to go. Another one said we weren't asked, we were told. Other girls were devastated because we knew exactly what she was doing. So you're right. I think that obviously Roger Goodell is going to look at this and say, we can't have this. This is exactly the type of PR nightmare that we don't want to have right now. This is the
That's
NFL
just wrong.
offseason.
I mean, it's just flat out wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a way to treat people, again, of any company, let alone what we're specifically talking about here. So I don't know where it goes. I don't know if teams I don't know all the different teams and all the things involved in it at all. As I said, cheerleaders try out to be cheerleaders for a team, knowing certain things about it that, again, you do work a lot of hours practicing routines. You don't get paid a lot of money. Right. Again, if you can get together and change all that, hey, more power to you. But
maybe you do
know that going in. I don't think it's written anywhere, hey, we're going to this place and you have to be topless you have to go out with this sponsor, to a nightclub. I don't know if that's written in there anywhere or somehow, some way. So I don't know where this is going to go, but for some teams, it really could lead to, don't want to deal with this at all. So we're just not going to have cheerleaders. As I said, I think there's about 5 or 6 teams that don't. And I'm not saying that's the answer to it, but that's how some teams may feel. Yeah. But obviously, come on, people. I mean, let's.
It's just despicable.
We know what happens in a lot of companies. Everybody doesn't get treated with the right amount of respect, and that certainly needs to change if that's happening.
Yeah, Washington, the longest-running professional NFL cheerleading organization. It's awfully tough to see what happened there. Coming up next, Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni will be joining us in the next hour after his team lost Game 2 at home last night. We'll talk lots of NBA. Adnan Virk for Trey. Golic and Wingo.
Standing, and Giancarlo Stanton knocks in 4 runs.
Got a home run for Giancarlo Stanton. Going the other way.
G's just not a power hitter, man. It's fun to watch him work and do his thing. It's going to be a fun year, keeps doing what he does.
That ball is gone. See ya. Back-to-back home runs for Stanton.
It's good music, right?
No shot.
Yeah.
Raptors have no shot.
No. He's getting in the vibe right now. That's what Cliff is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Cliff knows tonight's going to be a daily double. Raptors win, Sixers win. Everyone's going to be vibing.
Everybody's going to be happy, huh?
Yeah, that's right. You're going to be miserable tomorrow. I'm going to wear this exact same We the North baseball jersey as I'm currently wearing.
So if they lose, can I have that and put We the Northeast Ohio?
Fine. No problem at all.
Okay.
I'll bring it in for you tomorrow.
There you go.
We'll change it up. Bubba did some work there with the jersey.
He did.
So we can change it up.
We can do that as well. I made a major mistake.
Glaring error.
We're talking about game shows. Again, Patrick Beverly from the NBA, his mother Lisa, went on The Price is Right and cleaned up. Won a car in the game.
2
that
cars.
She did, a car in the game. Then she spun the wheel and got $1. Went to the Showcase Showdown and won another car and a trip to Madagascar.
$41,000 value.
Incredible day for her. So we said, what game show would you want to go on? You people have been great in tweeting that into us at Golic and Wingo. But a lot of people, I said, I'd love our family, the Golic family, to be on Family Feud because there's 6 of us now with Jenny, but with the 5, and Jenny would be, if somebody couldn't make it, the first in. She would be in.
Last one in, first one out.
I think she understands that, but we'd have no problem if she were in there if one of the other kids couldn't make it. Right. But then we were talking about the shows, Golic and Wingo against the Le Batard Show and Family Feud.
Right.
And so we said the 2 hosts, so it would be me and Trey and Dan and Stu, and then you pick the rest from their shipping container from our group. What a mistake I made, because our show normally goes the first hour and a half or 2 hours with 3 hosts, and that third being my son. Forgot him.
So Junior's back.
Sorry, Mike. So here's the deal.
Yeah.
So it's Trey, myself, Junior.
Now you get 2 more. Parada.
It's Brett, the researcher, and it's Allie.
No, Stanzik's
Stanzik's out.
I'm in.
Cliff and Devin were acting like you had a shot.
No, we said the front row was discounted immediately.
No shot.
That's pretty clear. It was Allie or Dan. That really was the choice.
And it's Allie. So it's Allie, Brett, Trey, me, and my son Mike. I'm sorry, Dan. I don't know what to tell you.
How about first and last gets its own team, all right? And be Allie and Junior and whatever board op they have.
That's a bad call.
Is that the route you want to go just so you can be on the team?
I'm here for the entirety of the show. Your son gets up and leaves. What's he going to bail on us halfway through the show?
Exactly. He's going to leave. He's going to leave 90 minutes to 2 hours.
You know what, Stanzik? I apologize. I will take all that into consideration. I just did. You're still out.
Apology denied.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. And the other move that just came down.
Speaking of family, in addition to our family, Jason Witten is going to retire and move into the Monday Night Football booth. One of the great tight ends of all time. Certainly a Hall of Famer. Can't wait to hear him with the great Joe Tessitore. Monday Night Football is going to be great here on ESPN. And how crazy is this? The Cowboys are dominating the landscape when it comes to analysis. Troy Aikman, obviously Tony Romo, and now Jason Witten.
That's something, huh?
Listen, if you love America's team, you're thrilled with them.
And we'll see. I don't know because, it's not like they ask for my input. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be just the 2 of them or if they're going to add another, be a 3-man booth or not. We'll see. As I said, Jason's an offensive guy. I'm a defensive guy. I'm available on Monday nights if they'd like me to, throw my wisdom in there. But no, congrats to Jason. What a career. I was just with him as Dallas hosted the the draft, and he and I and DeMarcus Ware had to do a little function together. Yeah. And so it was good to talk to him. He did not fill me in on the fact that he may be retiring. I was a little bummed at that. Yeah. But such a good guy. I can't believe there are actually people that say he shouldn't go into the Hall of Fame, that he was a compiler type of a guy. Yeah. He was a great tight end. Right. A great tight end. Second in receptions and receiving yards to Tony Gonzalez. He is going into the Hall of Fame. It'll be a great addition to our team here at ESPN.
No doubt about it. Congratulations, Jay Swinton. Great to have him aboard. Let's get into what's trending. Last night, the Jazz snapping their 11-game skid in the conference semifinals by upsetting the Rockets 116-108, evening the series at 1 game apiece. Donovan Mitchell joined John Stockton, the only Jazz rookies with a 10-assist playoff game, and the fourth rookie in NBA history to score 200 points in his first 8 playoff games. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor.
What a list to be part of. No doubt about it. And it wasn't a great scoring night for him. He just put up 17 on what was it, 8 or 6 of 21 shooting. Only 2 of 8 from three-point land. It was Joe Ingles who had a career-high 27 points, 7 of 9 from three-point land.
And great
he was fantastic.
Yeah.
They had a 19-point lead in this one. In the third quarter, the Rockets came back and took the lead. So they were back, and if you're a Utah Jazz player or fan, you had to be thinking, oh, no, here they go. They're going to start hitting all their threes, which is what they do. They did not. They only hit 10 of 37, 20% on their three-point shots, and they're the best in taking the most and making the most during the year, and they weren't hitting them. Utah took advantage of it and did exactly what you need to do in one of those first 2 games on the road. You get that split, and you move on. I still think Houston wins this series, but Utah, like New Orleans we've talked about, like Minnesota, in the West, and then you get to the East, the teams that we talk about that we really look forward to in the future.
I think for casual NBA fans that didn't know a ton about Utah, now everyone knows Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Everyone's aware, as you said, this is a team on the rise. Still like Houston to win in 6. And Mike D'Antoni hopefully will join us about 25 minutes from now. So look forward to getting his thoughts on the Rockets after the loss last night. Also, the Cavaliers face the Raptors 6 Eastern on ESPN, 1-0 series lead. Listen, it's critical. LeBron's teams have a 21-0 series record with a 2-0 lead. The Raptors have never won a series when trailing 2-0. The Raptors are the better team. They've got more talent. They've got the best bench. Yes, they choked in epic proportions, but I honestly can't see them not winning tonight.
Canada.
Thank you. Right.
I actually think they have a good shot winning tonight, but I thought in game 1 they did as well, to be honest with you. And for those that may think, well, LeBron's coming off a 7-game series. He played 47 minutes in game 1. He's going to have a down night. Coming off of overtime games in the postseason, the next game he's averaging about 32 points a game. So he's going to get his.
Forget about numbers.
To your point and for your team, I don't know who that guy's going to be again for Cleveland.
Right.
J.R. Smith stepped up with 20. Kyle Korver had 19. Tristan Thompson had his second double-double after starting in Game 7 against the Pacers, coming off the bench. He'll come off the bench again. I don't know who that person's going to be or if it'll be anybody. So you're right, though. You need the win. You lose this game completely over, and Cleveland then starts thinking about, let's end this thing quick and get some rest before we go to the Eastern Conference Finals. This is the night where the Raptors have to make it a series.
DeRozan and Lowry both shot good percentages. Valanciunas, 21 points, 21 rebounds.
But you know when they didn't shoot? At the end of regulation and at the end of overtime. You can credit Cleveland some for that, certainly, playing defense, but, I mean, you got to find a way to get your guy that's your best players the best shot.
It's only one game.
Okay.
One game.
Been saying that for 3 years now, haven't you?
One game does not a series make.
2-2. Fly ball left field. That ball is gone. See ya. Back-to-back home runs for Stanton. And it is 3-0 Yankees.
Thanks to Michael K. for that. We had the Yankees game on ESPN as well last night. John Shambi with the call. Giancarlo Stanton was great. 2 home runs. He drove it all 4 as the Yankees won their 11th game in their last 12 tries, beating the Astros 4-0. Luis Severino, by the way, was amazing. It feels like such a throwback to see a guy throw a shutout. Game. He did it. Struck out 10, only allowing 1 walk. That's huge for our buddy Aaron Boone because he can rest that bullpen a little bit. And sometimes it's this simple, Mike. As a DH, Stanton's hitting 200, 420 slugging, 31% strikeout rate. Obviously coming from the National League, could not DH there. As a position player, 268, 521 slugging, 37% strikeout rate. As you, me, and Mike Jr. were saying earlier, he's going to strike out. That happens. But make him comfortable. So if he wants to be in left field and Judge goes in right, Aaron Hicks is in center, I think Aaron Boone will figure it out. I think Stanton will
That's
too.
a juggling act that you figure out early on in the season, right? And just like in basketball, we talk about how the pieces fit together. Well, they do the same thing in all sports, including here. What's the best position to put him in? Obviously, you have to think of other players as well who are out there trying to produce for your team. But you're right. He's going to strike out. But everybody, we just said, in April, there were more strikeouts than hits First time in the history of the sport. So the strikeouts are going to happen. He gets a lot of them, but then he gives you games like this.
Can you just imagine as a baseball player how much different it would be when you're playing the entire game versus a DH? Like, you have to be certainly wired a certain way late in your career to go, listen, you literally only impact the game 4 times,
right,
and the rest of the time you're just sitting there, just focusing on hitting. Like, that type of pressure, that internalization, it must be tough. I think as a player, I'm used to being out there. I want to be engaged the whole time, and Stanton's one of those guys.
He could be one of those guys, and while you'd like him to be able to handle it both sides of it,
sure,
doesnto always happen. So, again, that falls on Aaron Boone. What's the best chemistry and rotation and level I can get with these guys, to be on the field, the DH, and how's it going to work as a team as a whole?
Yeah, we stick in the landing here.
There you go.
Just to circle back to Jason Witten, one other stat. You mentioned the numbers he put up. Most seasons with 60 or more catches in NFL history. Number 1 is Jerry Rice. Number 2 is Tony Gonzalez. Third is Jason Witten, just ahead of Larry Fitzgerald.
Listen, Jason Witten, again, is going to the Hall of Fame, okay?
First ballot?
I mean, let's look and see who the other ones are going in that time.
Right.
But, man, with those stats, now, again, stats are a big part of it.
Sure.
But you look at what he's done over time, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's not a no doubt Hall of Fame first ballot.
He's going into the Hall of Fame, end of sentence, period. New sentence. Cowboys of today. They had to get more athletic, right? Mm-hmm. They have to get a fast number 1, Des Bryant's gone. And they have to get a more athletic tight end, right? Mm-hmm. Because Jason Witten, while he's a Hall of Famer, been around a long time.
Sure.
We know what the tight end position is now, man. That guy and Jason did. He split out some. He anchored sometimes. Yep. But you need the tight ends that are more athletic, right? That are really that dominant down the middle of the field, can really stretch the middle of the field and open up the sides as well. Mm-hmm. And over the last couple of years, that's not Jason's game.
Right.
It's not what he was. And you didn't have that speedster in Des Bryant, so while you have a great player, Hall of Famer in Jason Witten, that is now gone, and Des Bryant looking for a job. He turned down a lot of money in Baltimore, which,
you're right about that.
First offer may have been the best offer for him. Now they have a chance to get a little more athletic at both those positions.
Mm-hmm. No, that's well said. And certainly for Dallas, it's a time of transition. And for all of us here at ESPN, we're thrilled to have Jason Witten with us. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. I'm Adnan Virk in for Trey. A pleasure right now, as always, to have guests come by, and certainly SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey joins us in studio, giving the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. Thanks so much for coming by today.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
How has the day been so far? I know we run you ragged here.
Well, I ran into summer in Connecticut. I didn't look at the weather. It hadn't been this warm in Birmingham.
We skip spring. It goes from snow to 80 degrees.
Exactly.
Well, I want to start with this, Greg. The new commission on college basketball that report recommendations coming out in support, saying it's an important step, help fix what's wrong with college basketball. What was your take specifically with that? How can they fix the recruiting and some of those other issues?
I think it's a step. I don't think it's a destination. There was a lot of buildup. Obviously, we had a set of disturbing realities that were presented through arrests and indictments from federal law enforcement around men's basketball. That's not acceptable. We have to change. We're probably change adverse across all of college athletics at times, and I think the leadership of Secretary Rice, those who participated on the commission, has now given us an opportunity for change. What all of that means, I don't think we know yet. I think the NCAA is pretty good at managing things it controls. And the reality in that report, when you talk about agents, pre-enrollment issues, summer basketball, we don't control all of those elements. One and done, the NBA draft. Where there is the ability to influence, I think there's probably quicker opportunities, hopefully effective opportunities. Where there's not the direct influence, we'll wait and see, and hopefully we can collaborate to make all of basketball better.
So the man heading the NCAA, Mark Emmert, has said the rule book needs to be thinned out. It needs to become smaller. Has it? And is it in the near future? I mean, it's such a general statement. I get it, but eventually something has to happen.
It does. I've now got about 30 years in this work, and a lot of it started in the regulatory world. And I've heard that mantra for all 30 of those years. Maybe not the first 5, right, Mike, but certainly after. You could argue that the Southeastern Conference probably triggers some rules from people. In fact, I was just in meetings last week where we have to do this, we have to do that. And you take a step back and say, why are you doing that? Just leave things alone. We actually operate really, really well collectively. A lot of it is to say, hey, we can't say no on our campus, so let's say no nationally. There are elements that I think are really important for some national standards for competition so that we have national championships. They're meaningful national championships. But, if I had power for a day, I could figure out how to make that a thinner rule book quickly.
Talk with Greg Sankey right now, the SEC Commissioner. It's interesting. People often point to the one-and-done rule, but it's actually the NBA's decision. I think that gets lost sometimes. I know the recommendation of the committee would be to do away with it. What's your take on the one-and-done?
Well, I think the pressure is to remove that barrier, and it is a collective bargaining outcome between the NBA and its Players Association, and we can provide our input. But I don't think that solves the problems that we encountered.
Right.
There are, and we have in our league people who go one and done. We have it, ironically, in golf and in track and field as well, and even in swimming and diving from time to time. So it's not simply a basketball phenomenon, but yet basketball's the center of it. I was watching an interview about the Sixers Celtics series. So Ben Simmons was at LSU, Kentucky, and what John's done. I think you saw in the Rice Report, every year of education is a benefit. The more years you're educated, the more beneficial it is. You look at our baseball players and some of the transitions that have happened there where we're not seeing people leave just after 3 years automatically, that they realize you can play in great facilities with great support, great crowds, great coaching, nutritional oversight and instruction, mental health counseling, sports medicine care that's really second to none. So there are advantages to being in the college system. Yet I think fundamentally the removing of that barrier relieves a little bit of pressure, but it won't eliminate every issue that created what we saw, again, emerge from the law enforcement arrests and indictments.
Again, in baseball, we're talking before you go to college, you can go to Major League Baseball. Once you enroll, you have to be there 3 years. Obviously, in football, it's 3 years removed from high school. We're talking to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey here in studio with us. So you said give you a day you could change some rules. Let's stick with one area with the general statement of, man, the NCAA makes billions of dollars and the players see none of it. I'm sure you hear that all the time. What in the near future, if anything, is going to change to the player side of that question or statement?
There's a lot that has changed. That's the reality. So what we're talking about is a conversation that's either paychecks or not paychecks. That's reducing it to its elemental. Well, that's not the conversation in my view. So the support provided to student athletes goes to young people participating. I just described in baseball, but in football, we had all 14 of our men's golf teams picked to play in the NCAA tournament. People say, well, it's golf, but there's support that's provided there. So let's just go back to football. People say, well, you build these grand facilities. Actually, those facilities are what happens on every one of our campuses in the Southeastern Conference right now. Go look at the construction that's happening for students. The coaching. Would you rather play for an 0-12 football team or an 11-1, 12-0 football team that can play in great bowl games and great national championships? We've increased the level of scholarship to provide the cost of attendance. That's consistent with the decision out of the federal court in the Ninth Circuit after the O'Bannon trial. So that's an adjustment that I think needed to be made, has been made, and there was a line of demarcation established that we're not in the pay-for-play. We're not professional athletics. I watch what the NBA, what the NFL does. It's very different from what happens in college basketball, college football.
I certainly agree about the paycheck side of it. For those that will say this, what would be your answer? Because then you hear, well, if schools and or athletic departments have to pay this money, then you get lost in other places. Then people will say, okay, don't let the money come from there. If a car dealership wants to bring players out and pay them, if a sponsor wants a player for a product, let them do it and give that player. They can pick the player, the better players. It's all a pecking order, we know. So what would you say about that? Outside people paying players to endorse their product or appear or do some things.
Well, we then walk into some issues that are in litigation, so it's always wise to be careful in that moment. People talk about something called name, image, and likeness.
Right.
I'm waiting for everyone to define how that is operationalized. But fundamentally, it goes back to, this phrase student athlete, people take shots at it and say, well, it was created by Walter Byers. We had 31 graduate patches in the national championship games. That means 31 out of about 200 players on that field already had earned bachelor's degrees. In fact, 3 had earned master's degrees playing football. Those are students. That's what we do. Our athletic departments are embedded in our campuses. I think the protections around moving more and more to the commercial side remain important. So there's always been stress. In fact, you no doubt experienced it in your life, in your family's life, between the competitive and the educational. We need more time on athletics. We've got to watch more film, more lifting, more. That was there 50 years ago. Arguably, it was there 100 years ago, those stresses, if you read the reports. It's still there. You add more components to that, you won't take away from the competitive experience. You will take away from the educational experience. We are there to educate fundamentally. We do it very well. Not perfectly. I'm not telling you everything's fantasy land and Pollyanna-ish, but we do it well, and I think we have to continue to protect against distracting and from that educational mission in an even greater way. And I think greater commercialization will do that, but from a principle basis, that's why we draw those lines.
Talking with Greg Sankey right now, SEC Commissioner. SEC had 53 total draft picks, the most by conference for the 12th consecutive year in the NFL draft. How meaningful is that to you?
It's fun because I was able, it's been 3 years in this seat, so now I know people. Like Oren Burks is a player at Vanderbilt, went to the Packers. He was playing at South Carolina. The game started. He waves me over and hugs me like on the sideline. So it's great to see those successes. Deshaun Hand was a defensive lineman at Alabama, drafted by the Detroit Lions. Danny Etling with the Patriots. Those are people who've served in leadership positions in the Southeastern Conference as student athletes who've made contributions on their campuses, and it's rewarding personally. But we know that's a goal for them, that they've set that objective. That's why I think this educational piece is important, because we are continuing to help people understand the value of education and what that means through their life. So if we bring this back to the Rice Commission report, they were very clear about the economic, the cultural, the social impacts of an educated citizenry. That happens with our football players. Not everyone shows up on campus, whether they're a student or student athlete, and understands the value of education. With 50 or 30 or 20,000 students, that's not just student athletes. And then you see these outcomes, and you take it to the NFL draft to see young men stand up there, interviewed on national TV, and I don't know how many people were in AT&T Stadium in the Dallas area that night. But what we have done is moved people from adolescence to adulthood.
So, and I hate to put a time on this, only about a minute left that we have, for the commissioners out there and for the heads of schools, what is the most pressing issue? What is the most damning thing right now that college sports is facing?
Well, I don't think I can reduce it to one. There are a lot of things that keep me up at night. Certainly in football, the health and safety issues have to be a central conversation. They have been. They will continue to be. Our campuses have medical centers, research facilities have been engaged in this kind of work and support. The litigation issues are meaningful and important and take a lot of time and discussion. And then you take a step back and you know, the tension to your question about the rule book, Mike. We're in this can or should debate. Like, can I do this? And I'll have this with coaches. Hey, can we do this or not? Just tell me.
Right.
And there's another level, though, that's much more sophisticated, which is, should we be doing this? Should you engage in this kind of practice, behavior, travel, time? If we get back to that from an ethical standpoint, I think that would provide a healthier environment. I think some of that's in the Rice report to say the people, and I think Secretary Rice said that in her presentation, the people who can make the change we're talking about were in the room when she made the announcement. And I said that to our athletics directors earlier this week, and I'll say it to our presidents and chancellors at a meeting at the end of this month. We are the we are the people who can affect this change, and let's make that commitment. We do great things. We're not perfect, but whether it's the draft numbers, our baseball, or women's golf, or men's golf, the Southeastern Conference remains a remarkable story in my view.
Just means more. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
Have fun today.
I'm a one-trick pony, literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la, aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
You know, when I make ridiculous comments, it just brings back memories to you of what you went through all those years. Mike D'Antoni joins us now, the Houston Rockets head coach. Thrilled to have him on with us, two-time NBA head coach of the year. Mike, thanks so much for the time today on Golic and Wingo. You said after last night's game your team lacked energy and focus. Why do you think that is, Coach?
Well, I think it's just, or they had more. It's you talk about all the good things, try to get in that, zone where you perform at the highest level. We just didn't do it. Now, all kinds of reasons, and it does happen. They played better than we did, so we got to get it back. And actually, if you look at the game, they probably did what we do, pick and rolls and ISOs, better than we did. So they deserve to win it. Now we'll go to Utah and see if we can get one.
When you look at, obviously, series sports like this where it can go as many as 7 or as few as 4, but still at least 4, how much falls into the X's and O's part of a series or a managing rest and other things, expectations?
It's all connected. I don't think there's one more than the other. Most teams are playing their best and doing their best, and they put on the floor X's and O's, what they do, and, you don't come up all of a sudden play zones or do something you've never done. So you just try to get them to play it. You make little adjustments all the time, or maybe about rotations or somebody plays a little longer or matchups. But other than that, we do what we do. We're going to shoot threes, and they do what they do. And we just got to guard about it. We just got to do a better job of getting into them and not getting them confidence and getting them loose. They got loose on us.
So along those lines, just to be specific, Joe Ingles goes for a career-high 27. Nothing really X's and O's wise changes on that, just what we're supposed to be doing when it comes to him. You have to do better?
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't anything that they didn't ISO him or he just standing over the side. Donovan Mitchell broke us down a couple of times on bad switches, and then they found him wide open. And then he made a couple of hard shots that give him credit for. A little combination of everything, but it's not like they ran a play for him. They don't have a lot of plays because we switch everything. So most of it is individual defense, getting into people and not letting them get by you. And we didn't do that yesterday.
Donovan Mitchell certainly has been great for the Jazz, Coach. How would you describe his game? I think not enough people appreciate how good he was in the regular season. Now everybody's aware of it, particularly your team now as you try to defend him.
Yeah, I mean, he's as good as two guard that there is in the league. I know he's a rookie, and you can say, well, this and that. No, you watch him play, and you watch his talent level, you watch his ability. He's as good as anybody at any stage of the game, and he's going to be phenomenal for, next 10, 15 years.
As far as the team overall, going back to the regular season to now, when you have the best record in the conference, the expectations grow and grow and grow. Is that discussed by players, by you two players, or just where the expectations are?
No, we don't. Everybody knows that. It's like everybody has expectations of getting to the finals or winning it or whatever when you start out. Then it kind of weeds itself out to the top 5 or 6 teams. Everybody has expectations to try to win it all, knowing that it's a difficult road and there'll be ups and downs, and you try to stay even keel. But no, you don't really have to discuss that. It's like, hey guys, we need to. Well, really? They look at me like I've lost my mind. They understand what's at stake. And Chris Paul, James Harden, they've been criticized for not getting very far. I've been criticized, so we all know. But at the same time, you don't lose perspective of, that's we call that a little bit white noise out there, and we don't. We just try to focus on what we need to do.
Talking right now with Houston Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni on Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. It was so funny, Coach. I know some people were skeptical about Harden and Paul on the same team. Both guys have to have the ball, and then you were so smart and saying, well, listen, I can mix and match. I can do different things. I can bring a guy off the bench, etc. What's your reaction been to just how good those two have flowed together and what you've been able to see from those two stars?
Well, it's what we imagined, the front office and us putting it together, that the basic thing is you got 2 Hall of Fame guards that can, play off the ball, on the ball, and they want to share the ball and they want to make it work. So when they balled in, it was really a no-brainer. And we haven't had any hiccups whatsoever from day one. They've just meshed and done the right, because they both play the right way in the sense, if you're open, they'll pass it. If not, they'll shoot it. And they're great one-on-one players. And there's just a lot of things they bring to the game. And then above all, just the willingness to share the ball and to share the limelight and try to get wins.
Mike D'Antoni, head coach of the Houston Rockets, joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. My sport of football, you get to the playoffs, it's one and done. Win, move on, you lose, and you're into the offseason. Again, in a series sport, how quickly do you put away a game like this, or how much do you use it before the next game?
Well, we'll use it. We'll use every breakdown that we had and try to get that better, no doubt. But mentally, and we say it all the time, even during the regular season, our motto here is, so what, what's next? So we got beat. Can they beat us 3 more times? That's the whole bottom line. They might, but it's not. Don't dwell on the last one. We're not changing the result. So we try to stay even keel. We don't get too high with wins. We don't get too low with losses. Figure out what we need to do better, then go out and try it again. And if that doesn't work, then try it again. So, there's a lot of things that we'll adjust to and switch up a lot of little things and just get things better.
Yeah, outside of Eric Gordon, Coach, you didn't get much production from the bench. Is that a point of emphasis going into Game 3?
Well, I mean, it always is in a sense. You would like for them to make shots and do things, but we're not going to. I don't know how you would do that. It's always a point of emphasis. We've had a great bench, and I expect them to come through in a lot of different areas in the next game. But again, you play your game and you do the best you can do.
It's been a great ride so far, and best of luck against the Jazz and moving forward after that. Mike D'Antoni, the Houston Rockets. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
A Western Conference center said LeBron is a competitor. If he went to Golden State, that would cut his competitive edge out. Can we just throw that one out? I am willing to bet my son's job. There is no way he's going to Golden State. You agree with that, Mike?
Why don't you bet your paycheck? It's worth more than my job.
Sports Center brought to you by GNC. Ignite what's inside you, from building muscle to finding the best multis. Get the highest quality wellness solutions and supplements. Now buy 2, get 1 free for a limited time at GNC. Live well. Before I get yelled at, quickly, I'm sorry I didn't do this before.
Yeah.
Quick update in your Little League team that you're the manager of.
Oh, thanks for asking, Mike. Yeah, we're 2-1 right now, so we're feeling pretty good. So far, no parents have been complaining. Players have been happy. It's tough to kind of mix and match because you're supposed to play 2 innings in the infield, 2 innings in the outfield, go on the bench. And my middle son is on the same Little League, this T-ball team, as Steve Levy's twin boys.
Really?
So Patrick Sharkey's the manager, and me and Steve Levy are both the assistants.
But in the team you're managing, you've won 2 games last year. You only won 1 the whole season.
That's correct. As a bench coach, went 1-8. Thank you for reminding me. This year, 2-1 with the Sylvan Learning Center.
Well done.
West Hartford Youth
I've been
Baseball
trying to
League.
put it off by talking to you and not looking over to my right and seeing my son sitting here.
That's a very smart ploy out of you.
I'm in a lot of
Golic
trouble.
and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. The NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tonight as LeBron and the Cavs visit the Raptors, and Toronto will win. It's presented by Barbasol Razors. Coverage begins at 5:30 p.m. Golic Jr., let's do this.
Yeah, if you thought that music was going to die down at all, if you thought that was going away, if you thought you could escape your words, you're wrong.
All right, I made a mistake, okay? Stugotz, Le Batard and Stugotz against Golic and Wingo. I said it was me and Trey, and then we would have to get 3 others here. And I forgot that you're one of the hosts of this show as well. That's my fault. That's my fault. And your mom tweets out, how do you forget Mike Golic Jr. is the smartest one of the group? Here's where I beg to differ. You are the smartest, book smart, academic All-American, the whole deal. Do you think you're street smart, smarter than me or Jake? Sydney.
I'm going to tell you this.
Yeah.
Oh, are we talking about cutting our family right now?
Yeah.
We're talking about cutting down the Golic family, not the show group.
We're starting with the family first.
The Golic family, you are easily the one out. Easily.
You mean you're putting Jenny in over me as well?
No, I'm saying if we've got that group there.
No, you got 5. You got 5.
If we've got our group of 4, listen. You're out for sure.
You've
got the least.
Family Feud has 5 people. Do you watch the show?
You've got the least exposure to Family Feud of anyone in this group. You forget.
You're ridiculous. You have street smarts.
I spent a year being cut, not being on a roster, working out every day. And you know what I'd come home and do?
What?
You know what I'd come home and do while other people were practicing, being good at football, being good at sports? I was watching Family Feud. I was honing my knowledge.
How about this quickly before we get to the other show? If we were to not, because we have 6 in our family now with Jenny, if you were to take out me, your mother, Jake, or Sydney and put Jenny in, who would you knock out?
You're gone.
Me?
You're out.
Oh my
God.
Seriously?
Done.
You're just saying that because I left you out before.
No.
Would you knock out Jenny ahead of your dad?
Well, I mean, listen, if it comes out to Jenny, Jenny's gone, but
that's just not nice. All right, now, Golic and Wingo against Le Batard. So now, me, you, and Trey.
Oh, yeah, no, I have a bigger beef on this one.
Okay, who are the other two,
How are you just completely leaving out Devin and Cliff?
Look at them.
The front row is quickly discounted.
Just look at them.
Devin and Cliff have offered to do Hallway, Oklahoma for the final spot on
That's
the group.
how bad they want in.
That's how bad. You can't replicate that kind of want to. You're just
Jerry's upset now. Jerry's upset.
Jerry, no.
Okay. Jerry's furious.
Jerry, I didn't mean it.
Jerry, yes. Silent assassin.
All right. I'm putting it on you now.
Wow.
Rejoin.
Me, you, Trey. Who are the last two?
Bubba. What about Bubba?
No, Bubba's not. No.
Bubba's out of here.
Bubba's out.
No.
Bubba's out. Shove it.
Wait, so I have to have you or Trey in?
Yeah, get them out. No, get them out of here.
I was going to say,
It's Golic and Wingo against Dan Le Batard.
You don't have to have hosted.
A Golic.
Yeah, exactly.
No. The three of us, you have
Trey
to
won't be
pick
there
two
anyway.
from over there. And if Trey's on vacation, then you're in.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay?
Mike.
All right.
I'm available if you need
You got to pick the other two, Mike.
If I got to pick the other two of what? Me, you, and Trey have to be in there?
Yes!
All right, if I'm picking the other two, yeah, it's probably going to be Brett and Jerry. I got to be honest, Brett brings a lot to the table. I'm just going for pure mass on this one too. There's a lot of brainwaves.
Okay,
a lot of creativity, a lot of mass.
Here's the other thing, real quick. You've also been on the Le Batard Show. You've done that show.
Oh yeah.
So it's got to be Dan and Stu.
Yep.
In the shipping container, who would be the other three?
In the shipping container?
Well, where else are they going to go? Well, they're not taking Greg Cody.
Well, I would say, are the other co-hosts in play? Or like Mina, Dominique, Pablo?
No.
Mike Ryan, Guillermo.
The only one that could be is Cody. The only one. The other ones are fill-ins.
All right. You go Dan and Stu. You go Mike Ryan. Mike Ryan's the easy other one in there. Guillermo's the easy other one in there. That's a no-brainer. And then it's what, Chris or Allison?
Yeah, or Allison. Roy, Chris, Allison.
Roy, Chris, or Allison.
Gotta get Allison in there.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say I feel like Allison's sneaky value play in there. Like, she seems afraid of the moment, but you put her in fast money, and all of a sudden, she would just kind of, like, disappear like Frank and Old School.
And any doubt in your mind, with the group that we have and the think that they would have, that we would win?
Oh yeah, we got this. Yeah. I think we actually match up really well. If you were to do this matchup wise, right. Stugotz is a liability. He's an out and out liability. I love him to
trying to
death.
hide him on the team.
Yeah, exactly. Stugotz is that guy you have to hide in zone
Mike
defense.
Ryan would be great. I think Mike Ryan would be killer.
I think you can get to Mike Ryan emotionally.
No,
some of his favorite teams and stuff, and start to dig him a little bit.
Music stuff.
I think you can maybe get to him.
Le Batard would be great.
Yeah, Dan's built for this.
I think Ryan would be their best one, but we'd win.
Well,
we would win.
If there's any way we can make this happen.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to happen.
It won't. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Raptors win tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.